Well, I was very excited. It was the first day. Literally, they announced it, and Brian's like, "Get your butt to the White House, Brian Williams, and let's announce this on the air." And we did it on the air that night, on Nightly News. And here I am and I come in. It's just the waning days of the Bush administration, and nobody's here. I mean, it's just like empty. And I have to admit, I was really excited. Oh wow, I had been on the grounds plenty of times, but in the West Wing part of it, maybe for meetings and stuff like that, but never in the press area. I was walking in, big wide-eyed and all this stuff, and do this live shot where they introduced. Well, I mean, we did some news aspect of it a little bit, but it was different. And then I was here maybe 3 or 4 days, and President Bush decides to have a final press conference in this room, which he didn't always do. Usually it's a more formal thing, but he decided to do it in the daytime, and just it was odd. He just kept looking at me like, "Who the hell are you?" Well, it depends. I mean, my partner, Savannah Guthrie, and I, we rotate every week between morning duty and evening duty. What that means is first line of defense on Today's Show versus first line of defense on Nightly News, and then everything else is in between, MSNBC, some CNBC, etc. So there's that. And, my day, because I still have my political unit duties, and we do first read and stuff, so my day always begins about 5:36, simply out of it's the easiest time to get read in. You have a lot of stuff going on out there. You want to get read in before. And then it's just, we come here, and if you have a Today Show piece, you have to be here before 7, and doing that, you're, at that point,
how many hits a day
making the donuts every hour on the hour, like doing live shots in a mess.
Do you know about how many hits a day you're doing?
Oh, we only on the day, I'll tell you, on the days that if one of us here is stuck by ourselves, right, because maybe one of us has to travel with them while the other one's stuck here, or one of us gets called into bureau duty, or just one of us is sick, or wants to try to take a day off. So in those days, I think I did a 15-hit day once, 15 live shots between Today, Nightly, MSNBC, and some affiliates. That it was just like, your head hurts at that point. You don't even know what you've said, and of course, all it takes is one mistake, and you end up on YouTube, and your career can be over. It's always what I think to myself. Here's some doubt. Look, there's a lot of upsides, and people give the right arm, and I'm having the best part of this job is the traveling. It's unbelievable to go, or already to have been on 3 continents with them in 8 different countries, to see all this stuff. That's been unbelievable. There's some downsides, like any job. Downside number 1, being in that bubble back here that you see behind me, compact in, because of the first question that you brought up to me off camera, which was this issue of, how is it that you can be unique when you're stuck in this herd? It's very difficult. And then the other odd part of this is the celebrification of us. It's like,
so there are websites. Their website's dedicated.
I know,
to
and they're very nice about it.
There's a Twitter feed for your goatee.
I've heard about this. Somebody keeps asking me if I'm like, if this is because I've been so like, I'm not a Twitter guy. I'm just like, I can't keep up with Facebook. Well, why am I going to start Twittering? And so far it's all positive, right? It's when it gets negative that I'll be in trouble. Well, I'll tell you, every day feels like, you're cramming for a college exam, I'll be honest, with all this stuff. I mean, now, there's some stuff I have my own personal passions about. Latin America issues, Cuba policy, that's something, I grew up in Miami, so that's something I didn't need boning up on. That's been an issue I care about. Obviously, during the campaign, you do have to, know health care, know energy, know these things, because they were parts of the debate. They were part of the political debate. I was involved in the production of some 15 presidential debates, I think, over the last 2 years. And, we weren't asking about delegate counts, or poll positions. We were asking about issue positions. So it's not as if I was new to that aspect. But you do, that's another fun part of this job. If you like learning, if most journalists do this because they like learning new stuff. Well, I'm learning a lot of new stuff all the time. I mean, you're jumping right into it, whether it's these torture memos and getting your head around the lawyerly arguments, the back and forth, and seeing all this stuff. It's intellectually stimulating in a positive way, even when it's very obvious. I covered the Bush campaign of 2000 and Bush campaign in 2004, so I will just compare to that. I always thought the Obama folks, in many ways, were much more combative with the press corps than I think people realize. There's always been this conventional wisdom that the press was soft on Obama, but you didn't get the access to Obama. You didn't get access to him a lot. You did get a lot of. You did get a lot of access to George Bush the first time in 2000. Press got a lot of access to him, more access to him than Gore, and I think that explains why Bush got better press. Normally, the candidate that gets better press in an equal environment is the candidate that gets more access. Okay, we've seen this with John McCain in the past. But then there's sometimes when the political environment stinks for one party. Guess what? The guy with the other party who's on the good side of the political environment is going to look like they're getting the better press, which I think is the case with Obama. But in many ways, covering the Obama campaign, you had less access to their top leadership than them. Now, as for the Obama press operation, it's as controlling as any presidential press operation. So to say that they're better or worse, that's not the issue. I think they respect the press corps. I think they believe that they need to saturate the press. I think the most interesting aspect to this first 100 days is the decision that was made, and they used to do it during the campaign, and they've been criticized for this, which is they step on their own story all the time. So they'll do 5 events a day. And instead of trying to take one message and drive it home all day, or even one issue and drive it home all week, they'll do 3 or 4 a day. And everybody says, well, you're stepping on your own message. Well, I had somebody tell me inside the Obama administration, Priya Ivan said, well, if we're not stepping on ourselves, somebody else will. This environment, there's too much stuff. You have to. So their mindset is they have to just always flood the zone. They're always saturating everything. And, so they've done already up to all, everybody says, geez, there's too much Obama. Well, right now the public doesn't think so. If their polls go down, then that's when they're going to react and say it's too much Obama. But I don't think they believe that. I don't think they'll ever believe that, frankly. It's a little early. That got a little premature. I mean, MSNBC and folks, there's a lot of stuff we all want to do more of, and they want more political. I mean, look, this has been a great run for MSNBC on politics. And the more political stuff that we can have, the better. So if there's some weekend opportunities, I think that there's a lot of us that are going to participate.
Okay.
But you can't believe how quickly everything's gone, and yet you can't believe how much you have to deal with in a day. So everything can move slowly and go by fast. I've said it 3 different ways trying to say the same thing, but that's probably, I haven't been able to get up. Some days you feel like, you haven't been able to breathe, but there's always been a couple of days where you just get to sit back and say, okay, that was, really good, and, that was an interesting thing. And so I'm still learning on the job, but I have a feeling that the thing that I've learned is everybody learns on this job until they leave it. So, if you stop learning, you stop doing it.